Welcome back to the South Dakota High School Baseball Association Hall of Fame show. No other coach has coached more games than Bob Needles did at West Central. The prolific leader led with humility and a love for the game.
Oh man, I loved it from the beginning. That's always been my favorite sport, and the camaraderie with the kids in the summer and playing and best friends and just going and playing in the sandlots when we were little kids. We had a ball game every day.
Bob continues to give back to baseball. He's the groundskeeper for the baseball field in Humboldt and attends most of the West Central games.
Hartford and Humboldt, and it's West Central, but it's kind of, where it's at with the two towns, and they both love baseball, and it's an ongoing thing. We hope that it keeps going, and I think that what really helped our program was when we went to having we had enough kids to have freshman and sophomore baseball, and that kept them out.
Bert Reddy started his coaching career in North Dakota, but then made a huge impact when he moved to South Dakota. If it wasn't for Bert Reddy, there might not be spring baseball in Bennett County. His hard work and dedication to providing opportunities led to a Hall of Fame career.
They had a good background in baseball down in Martin, and I was just able to sort of step into a pretty good group of kids, and finally in 2001 we started the high school, and we got involved in the high school then. So probably the best thing to see is that some of the kids that weren't really the baseball kids, they kept coming out. So you think, okay, something must be going right.
Congratulations to Bert Reddy and Bob Needles, two of the best to ever coach in South Dakota high school baseball. The Brookings Bobcats clawed their way to the top of Class A in back-to-back seasons in 2015 and 2016. They always came up big in the biggest moments. The Bobcats had made the 2014 state tournament, but lost. They were determined, with a group of 8 seniors returning, to get the job done in 2015.
We're not looking to rebuild and fall back. Some of the players that we have, some of the juniors, the first-time players we've been really surprised with their progress so far.
Especially after my junior year, so it would have been the 2014 state tournament. We had about 5 or 6 juniors starting, so we were like, okay, now we've got our feet wet. Now we've got to take it to the next level.
They went 26-7, playing the most games of anyone in Class A and hitting .312 as a team. They faced Pierre in the semis, a team that had beat them 3 times during the regular season. But they put together a great effort behind Kyle Krogman's 7-inning shutout to make it to the finals.
Honestly, by the time that semifinal game rolled around, Kyle just pitched so well for us. I mean, it was almost impossible to lose with him pitching that well.
In the championship game, they faced Mitchell for all the marbles. A go-ahead RBI triple by Mac Burns provided enough offense for Seth Frazier, who threw 5 one-hit innings, and Jared Cheddar closed the door.
I just remember the final inning, and it's just kind of a whirlwind, and eventually all of a sudden you're throwing your gloves and hats, you're dogpiling.
The next season was a different story.
It was a little worrying that we just lost like 3/4 their lineup, and only got about 4 or 5 seniors coming in. And
Brookings had another outstanding year. They went 31-4, and they did it with strong hitting and pitching again. The title run culminated in a contest with Lincoln at Augustana. The Bobcats used a strong pitching performance from Trevor Wallen combined with a great defensive effort and enough offense for a 4-2 victory.
Guys, they felt the weight of pressure, and they really wanted to get it done. They really wanted the ball when it counted, and they really wanted to be at the plate when guys were on base, and they delivered. They did a great job.
What was so special about those teams?
Honestly, I think we're all just really close. Obviously, we had people essentially from sophomores up to seniors, but I guess you couldn't really tell a difference.
Uniting our group together under that one goal, we want to go, and we want to go back to back. So all the members of my team and all my brothers who, we still talk to this day, and we remember the tournament so well. And it was a case of, all guys on our team had a role, and they played that role perfectly in order to get it done that year in 16. So it was great.
Congrats to a couple of great teams from Brookings. Thanks to a dedicated board and staff at the South Dakota High School Baseball Association for creating such a wonderful honor for these Hall of Famers. And thank you for watching. Welcome back to the South Dakota High School Baseball Association Hall of Fame show. I'm Jason Andera. Let's continue revealing the 2022 class with Ryan Hander. He's one of the few guys that we'll talk about today that didn't come from a big baseball family.
My dad never played baseball. My mom never played baseball. She was, or softball, or really, dad was a football guy, contact sport guy. So my mom signed me up for t-ball when I was 5 years old. And I was a kid that showed up to practice with the white golf glove on, blue jeans, way out of fit, no idea.
Ryan Hander was one of the top multi-sport athletes in the region as a state champion quarterback and a 4-year varsity pitcher on the baseball team. His high school career was elite as a third baseman and pitcher. He hit .623 with 3 homers as a senior. Even after being selected in the Major League Baseball draft of 2009, he chose to play at Nebraska.
I had a lot of phone calls, a lot of big colleges, but Nebraska really sparked me because the first College World Series I went to was at Roosevelt in 2005. And I went down there and saw Nebraska playing the College World Series. And it was just this, I don't know how to explain it, but just the atmosphere of that stadium was like, wow.
Ryan had a great baseball career and a long list of people to thank.
From Lincoln High School, Dane Idy, just the love of the game. John Anderson, Luke Langenfeld from USF. Yeah, really enjoyed it. But the passion started probably with my dad and mom, sort of just pushing us to it.
Another South Dakotan who made his way to Nebraska makes our list here. Christian Cox of Aberdeen was an all-state selection as a sophomore in high school. You could tell there was a lot of talent there. Cox played for Aberdeen as a sophomore and went unbeaten as a pitcher with over a strikeout per inning. He remembers a lot of good times playing in high school.
I just think back to, learning the fundamentals of the game and being around your hometown friends and coaches, and that was probably my favorite part of it, just the camaraderie.
He chose to pursue baseball after high school and went to Hutchinson Community College in Kansas and eventually landed at Nebraska. Christian had a lot of support to make his baseball dreams come alive, and he's very thankful.
Oh yeah, it'd be impossible to thank everybody, but honestly, the most thanks has to go to my parents, just from being 2 years old. They had me out in the yard working with me, and the amount of time and money and energy they spent to travel me all over South Dakota and other states to allow me to do things that I loved. And of course, I had so many coaches too that mentored me along the way. We were blessed in Aberdeen to have all of those guys as coaches, and but I think the most thanks has to go to my parents for sure.
Christian's teammate and roommate at Hutchinson Community College was Logan Landon, and he's our next Hall of Famer. Lincoln hadn't done a lot of winning before Landon played there, but that started to change as he helped the Lincoln Patriots.
It was definitely cool for me. I got to suit up and play some games as on the varsity team as a freshman. So for me, that was really, really cool.
He was named to the All-State team as a senior when he hit .500 with 9 doubles, 3 triples, and a homer. And he led his team to the championship game in 2011.
Going to college, I wasn't the biggest and the strongest. I hit a growth spurt, got to about 6'2", but I was still really, really scrawny in terms of weight room stuff and pure strength. So I think that's what kept me away from, kept the Division I schools away from me a little bit, is I wasn't physically ready to go play there. So I went over to junior college and just worked really hard, put on some weight and developed, even more of a work ethic and discipline, to get to that next level.
That next level was changing from a pitcher to a hitter.
Center field, and been going back at the wall, and it is gone, a home run.
He found a new gear and a new love for playing offense and defense. He ended up getting selected by the Dodgers in the 2015 draft and spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. He even made appearances on SportsCenter.
You know, again, from a young age, my dad would always go into the backyard with me and we'd play this little drill, we'd call it divers, where he would just throw balls into the backyard and I would try and, you know, see how far out I could lay out for balls, and I always loved the outfield.
Logan's baseball career would continue to rise.
From the time I can remember, like going to Twins-Yankees games, I always wanted to play in the big leagues. And, you know, I didn't quite get there, but it was always something that I felt like, you know, if I'm going to do it, I want to pursue it with everything that I have.
Logan's career was pretty cool. He remembers playing against MLB All-Star Fernando Tatis, and he actually lived with Dodger pitcher Walker Buehler. You could say that Brett Mogen was born to play baseball. The Dell Rapids native was a baseball guy through and through. Brett was one of the best pitchers and hitters in Class B baseball in 2015 and 2016. He earned first-team All-State honors as a junior and senior at Dell Rapids High School.
Yeah, I really took it upon myself to become a better hitter because that was always my weak spot. So going into my senior year, that was a huge focus for me in the offseason.
He went 4 for 6 in the state semifinal game in 2016 and was in the middle of the order for 2 state tournament runs. His combined ERA in his junior and senior year was 0.38, with 119 strikeouts in 72 innings pitched. Although he didn't get a championship while at Dell Rapids, he relishes those days.
The first game of state when I was a senior, we played Winter Cologne. They were a fantastic team. That was a really fun game to pitch in. Again, even though we lost, but but that was a really fun game. It was competitive all the way out. Yeah, unfortunately we couldn't get any of those championships. I know that my stories kind of sound like a bummer towards the end there, but I really enjoyed those moments and appreciate those times. Just couldn't quite grab them.
His father, Bruce, pitched for the Jackrabbits and was a member of SDSU's 1984 NCAA Division II College World Series team. But it wasn't until late in high school that he thought about going to SDSU as well.
It was honestly never in my mind. He kind of offhandedly mentioned it to me at the end of my junior season and said, hey, if you wanted to play college baseball, you probably could. And it never really occurred to me before that, so I kind of went, oh, okay, maybe. And then it worked out, and I got the call from SDSU and headed up there.
Swinging through, and Brett Mogen. 4 innings of spotless relief.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my parents were there ever since I was a child playing baseball. My dad coached me along the way, and my mom was always in the stands. But I also had super good mentors in Nate Elson, who was my high school coach. Another mentor, kind of unbaseball related, Steve Heggie was my cross-country coach throughout high school.
Brett Mogen's college teammate was a fierce high school player in the same era. Landon Badger was one of the few guys who could take a wood bat and put the ball over the fence in high school baseball.
First thing that I always remember is just all the relationships that I got to grow with all the friends that I got to meet over the years and get to play with from Little League all the way up to high school baseball.
Some of Badger's favorite moments in high school baseball came against some of his fiercest competition.
I'd say one of the biggest moments was playing at Augustana State Tournament my senior year. It was just one of those memories that I'll never forget because I got to have 2 really good at-bats against a lifelong friend now too, Nolan Birchall, and we got to get to know each other even more ever since that moment. So.
Landon earned first-team All-State honors in both baseball and hockey during his junior and senior years of high school. As much as he loved playing hockey, he chose baseball for his post-high school sport.
So I had some days where I had to really think hard, and it was a challenge, and I'm really, really grateful with the opportunity that I got to be able to go to SDSU. And
Landon is thankful for a great baseball career.
It's definitely a special moment. When I found that out, having my family there, having all my coaches that brought me to that point, it was a really special moment, and just it brings goosebumps to me to be able to say that all the accomplishments that I had just paid off, and it's recognized now, and I absolutely love that. And it wouldn't have been possible without my family and my coaches and even my teammates. I mean, each one of them made me a better player and a better person overall.
Landon Badger now is an assistant coach for the Pierre Governors. He gives back to the team that built his Hall of Fame career. Stay with us. We'll introduce you to two coaches who built teams from the ground up in the South Dakota High School Baseball Association, and we'll also talk to the Brookings Bobcats about their back-to-back titles in 15 and 16. Thanks for joining me today for the 2022 South Dakota High School Baseball Association Hall of Fame show. South Dakota has produced several baseball stars, and the SDHSBA continues to highlight the best of the best with their newest Hall of Fame class. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll honor those players, contributors, and teams who have etched their names next to some of the best to play spring baseball in this state. Let's find out who was inducted this year. Adam Sudbeck of Parkston, Zach Weber from Flandreau, Sam Lind of Sioux Falls Roosevelt, Ryan Hander from Sioux Falls Lincoln, Christian Cox from Aberdeen, Logan Landon of Sioux Falls Lincoln, Brett Mogen from Dell Rapids, and Landon Badger from Pierre. The coaches include Bert and Bob Needles, and this year's team that we'll honor is the Brookings Bobcats. They won back-to-back titles in 2015 and 2016. If you'd like to see the past Hall of Fame classes, go to the SDHSBA.com website or to midcosports.com. Click on the blog tab to find those classes. Now it's time to tell you about each inductee. We'll start with Adam Sudbeck. His college coach, Dean Boyer, said Adam had the best bat speed he's ever seen at Minnesota State. Adam Sudbeck comes from a big baseball family, which helped him learn the game early on.
Going to practices, games, just being a shadow of my dad and his brothers and trying to pick their brains, you know what's going on, hitting, fielding, pitching, everything that soak up as much baseball knowledge as possible. And I think that helped me, tremendously.
That baseball knowledge paid off. Adam was named All-State as a senior in 2003. One of his most distinct memories of playing spring ball was on a windy day against Winter Cologne.
I remember it was just a super, super windy day, and one of the home runs that I hit, it sticks out in my mind just because the wind was blowing so hard in. I got a hold of it and was able to, to hit it out of the park. And I don't remember whether we won or lost that game, but it was just, those are a couple of memories that come up for me at least.
He was a two-time captain and part of some outstanding teams at Minnesota State Mankato. At the time he graduated from Mankato, he was second on the all-time home run list and in the top 10 in games, hits, runs, total bases, triples, and RBIs. Adam is thankful for all the help he's had along the way.
First and foremost, going out to my parents, and support and, thinking and kind of help as, one of the big kind of people to kind of help, try to get it going and get club baseball going in Parkston, and, definitely Bob Malloy. That's the thing that really stuck out to me besides any of the other games or, specific moments is those guys I played with, because all of them are, we played all the sports throughout Parkston with and still really good friends with all of them to this day.
Adam joins his brother Jeremy to become the first pair of brothers in this Hall of Fame. Zach Weber, he was a star four-sport athlete at Flandreau High School, but his love for baseball was unmatched. His grandpa was the president of the Amateur Baseball Association, and his dad pitched at SDSU. Baseball also became Zach's favorite sport.
I think the first SDSU baseball practice I went to, I was 2 when my dad was still playing there. So baseball's been a big part of my life and my family's life.
Zach's high school career included 4 All-State selections with an elite senior year, where he went 5-0 with a 0.28 ERA, striking out 75 batters in 37 innings of work. That season was memorable for Zach.
We had a very good team. I know we went undefeated in the regular season, then happened to lose first round of the state tournament, which was a bummer, but just the memories of that last year were good.
He went on to Midland in Texas, where he redshirted, and then he pitched 2 years at Iowa Western Community College in Council Bluffs before finishing his collegiate career at SDSU.
Obviously, like to thank my parents mostly, and then after that it'd be the coaches and teammates.
Congratulations, Zach. Zach Weber is now the chief of police in Flandreau. Let's move on to Sam Lind of Roosevelt. He was an innovator. He told me he was a launch angle guy before the term was coined, and he'd get into trouble during batting practice for not hitting enough ground balls. Well, he launched himself onto quite a baseball path after an outstanding high school career. Although he wasn't the biggest dude in high school, he was a power hitter who could rip up the baseball and hit for average. He was an All-State selection in 2008 with a .465 average and 8 extra base hits.
And I think just naturally I focused on baseball. It wasn't that I didn't like any other sports, but I wasn't very good at other sports and I was good at baseball. And I loved baseball the most.
His talent was noted at several camps that he attended, and Missouri was his top suitor.
And I kind of fell in love with the black and gold of Missouri and their players and their style and just kind of the lore of playing in Missouri.
While his baseball path was definitely winding, it did keep ascending. He made a stop at Central Arizona Junior College, where he won a conference championship. Then he got an offer to play at Vanderbilt, where he was part of a College World Series team. He finally landed at Cumberland, where he was among the best hitters in the NAIA and was the MVP on his run to a national championship.
And then my last year at Cumberland kind of was an accumulation of a lot of things where I was working out hard and I was in really good shape. And we had a lot of older guys at Cumberland that had really good baseball backgrounds, and that's when we put it all together and won the NAIA National Championship.
Sam dealt with several injuries, mono, transfers, but the more that he weathered, the better his career got. He ended up with a professional career in the American Association and the Frontier League. We'll be right back with more from this Hall of Fame show, including a deep look back at the back-to-back champions from Brookings.